Hey, hello everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Let me just swoon into the game. We'll continue that. Hey. So we're back in Farming Simulator. Let me just... Can I not do it there? There we go. Some noises, some tractor noises. So we are back here, of course, on our farm, and we're going to finish planting this field. We've already been planting soybeans. So last time we went around the outside about twice. What's going on, Goldie? So last time we played Farming Sim, as you can see here, we went around the outside of our field twice, and then now we're going to go up and down. So we've got the Fiatso here with our seeder on the back. Make sure it's low. It is a seeder, it's not a planter. There is a difference, but we'll get into that some other time maybe. So we're just going to be going up and down, and I think once we plant seed this whatever, we may do a contracting job just so we can get some dough ray because we want to expand the farm as soon as we can, obviously. So we can do some contracting jobs, and that will, of course, net us a bit more capital. So I'm just wondering, has that even... Let's get out of our tractor here for a mojo. Oh, yeah. See, because of the colour of the soil and where the planter goes, it's very similar. If we had actually done a roll fertiliser, excuse me, on the ground there first, on the field first, it would be a different colour. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to make a land, as they call it. So we're going to go straight down the field here, and then just do a little bit of a loop, like how we did when we ploughed this the other week. So let's see how this goes. Excuse me. Might be a complete disaster, but what you gonna do? Hey, at least we can go a little bit quicker with the planter than what we did with the seeder. What am I saying? With the plough. Too much of a city slicker for Farming Simulator. I mean, I assume half the people who play it are city slickers. I mean, not that I'm a farmer, but... Well... Actually, no, I wouldn't say I'm a farmer. Yeah, I was curious about how things are done. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. Because you're in New York, is there a lot of agriculture there, or not particularly? That's exactly right. Yes, make the world's food, grow the world's food. There's somebody in the house that's singing it, and I would dearly like to tell them to shut up, if I'm honest. Go on, tractor. Whoops, lower that. Let's go. Looks like we went down here reasonably straight. We did just sort of let the tractor roll down the hill here, but there's that bit of overlap we've got going here, but whatever. We'll deal with it. Not where I'm from, but if you go more than 100 miles out of Manhattan, you start to see farms. Okay. That's a fair way. I mean, I guess my town, we're like what could I say? A big town. Does that make sense? I'm not really sure. But at least where I live, if you go maybe 30, 20, 30 Ks, which is, I'm not sure what that is in miles, not a lot, about, I mean, 10 Ks is about 6 miles, so about, I don't know, 15 miles probably. Start to see farms and farming. I guess we're not as sort of, yeah, I mean, you live in one of the world's biggest cities, so we do about 100 miles. That's a fair way. Excuse me. Feeling a bit crusty tonight, obviously. A warning. I have been on the wines. Mum and I did have a bottle of it, so if I start slurring, it's because I'm half cooked. Dempsey. Yeah, I said to him, I was like, geez, I don't know, I feel like I could go for a beer. Like, I haven't had one for a while. I'm not a big drinker, but I was like, I could go for a beer. And then she's like, oh yeah, I've got wine, a bottle, and then got that out. So yeah, it's kind of in America culture that the fall harvest season, you'll see a lot of tourists from the city going. Yeah, okay. A lot of artisan produce then, I suppose you could say. Or paddock to plate, as I like to say. Anyway, how's it going, Sam? How you doing? So, so we're putting soybeans in here because when it comes to price, they have one of the highest prices, which is good. We're all about that. But I think it's an interesting thing to consider also yield. So the yield, I mean, you might not get as much product off of the field, but with soybeans, you most definitely get one of the better prices in the game. But if you go for a wheat crop, you may get generally more product off of the field, but the price isn't as good. Which is a similar thing. I'm excited to jump in this. Yeah, sure. Yeah, 100. Yeah, it's like 160 Ks. That's a fair drive. I mean, it's not down the road and back. I mean, it's down the road and back, like, 16 times. It's a day trip. Yeah. Suppose so. You see, it's interesting. I think the way, at least where I live, we sort of rationise the length of drives because I don't live on mainland Australia where it's like 1,000 kilometres to get from anywhere to anywhere. Driving sort of 2 to 3 hours. I'm like, you're cooked. Because on the island here, distances between places aren't as huge. Whereas on the big island, big Australia or mainland, distances between places, of course, are greater. Yeah, exactly. That's only about 40 Ks though. Oh, yeah, okay, 60 to 70. Yeah. And it takes about 40 or 50, like it's less than an hour really to get there. Sam? Even if you go siding. Americans and Australians talk about distance to get shocked. Yeah. I mean, but my sibling of mine was in literally the middle of nowhere, Queensland, and it would be like, I mean, wherever she was, it would be, 3 or 4 hours to get anywhere. Like the next town was like a 4-hour drive. And it's also, I mean, the United States is a lot more. There's a lot more population, so you might say, oh, it's an hour drive to say. I mean, you could drive between 2 major cities in a couple of hours, but if you're in Melbourne and you want to get to Sydney, I mean, it's like 1,000 k's. That's a solid day's drive. Whereas, I don't know, say if you're in, I don't know, New York and you want to go to, where's a close main city near New York? I don't know, Buffalo. As in New York State, isn't it? I have no idea. That's not really... Anyway, you know what I'm trying to get at, I think. I'm just doing a really bad job at it. I don't know how far is it from New York to... Where's the closest major state capital? Washington, D.C., I suppose. Or, well, I don't know, New Jersey? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know the Europeans can drive for an hour and be like in a different country. It's like I remember Boston, Philadelphia, around 5 hours. Yeah, right. Where if you're, say, in Melbourne, you wanted to get to Sydney, it'd take you probably longer than that. And that's sort of, in the next state, major city sort of thing. Anyway. I think it's just interesting that I don't know. Australian Truck Sim. I tell you what, when you master the long haul routes on that, geez, that would be a doozy. There is, those mega road trains with like 4 trailers. I think is it as big as they get? 4? I wonder if there's a cap on actually the length they're allowed to be. There probably is. I was reading something once at some point about them. Or length. Or it might have been the licenses. I think if you have like a multi-combination license, you can drive a road train. Something like that. I have no idea. I can't remember. But have you seen an A double though around here, Sam? Which is basically two proper semis hooked up. I've seen a couple around town. Yeah, I suppose people in Hawaii would, because they're sort of, their own little state, aren't they? I live in Hawaii of Australia. There we go. Yeah, 2-hour drive, and you're like, yep, cooked. Yeah. Whereas if you live on the Big Island, it's like, 2 hours. We haven't even left the outskirts of town. Still got 1,000,000 hours left. Yeah, it's the same thing with, Ireland and England. Well, it could be, say, the United Kingdom. And then the Republic of Ireland, I suppose. Let's just go down this edge of the field here, I think. We'll just go down this edge. Make it easier. Now this drill we've got on is actually no-till, but I did plough this, or we did plough this last time I played this, because that'll help our yield, because we have periodic ploughing on, so you need to plough after, I think, maybe four crops, and that just helps. Helps with yield. 1 hour walk and you're out of the country. Imagine living in Liechtenstein. Probably wouldn't be bad, you know, living in old Lick. Where's another? There's Liechtenstein. Oh, there's like another little weird. I shouldn't say weird, but there's like another little principality like Liechtenstein, isn't there? That's tiny. I mean, Belgium's not huge. That's it. World's biggest producer of false teeth, Liechtenstein. San Marino is another. Yeah, that's like a sovereign state of Italy, I think, really. Something like that. And the Vatican. Yeah. Now, Liechtenstein is over near... that's sort of over near Switzerland. What's that little joint that's like in between sort of like Switzerland... Sorry, it's in between sort of... Oh, yeah, probably Switzerland, Belgium, and like France. That's not Liechtenstein, is it? Or is it? I don't think it is. Yeah, Switzerland's only a small country. But there's like a little place in between sort of France, Belgium, and Switzerland. Is that Liechtenstein? I thought Liechtenstein was on like the other side of Switzerland. Like, I don't know, I was going to say German side, but... Luxembourg, that's the one. Luxy. Yeah, Monaco's tiny too. Yeah, it's a principality. I mean, it's basically France, but it's not. How's our seed? Oh, we got 20%, 27% on the soybeans. Sorry, 27% on the seed. 20 on the fertilizer. Hopefully we can get this done. Or at least close to. Ooh, no, I haven't been catching up on the space news. They launched a rocket from New Zealand. Oh, I've got... Okay, wow. New Zealand then have space launching facilities? Who'd have thought? And good old Elon and SpaceX. Yep, you got it. Yeah, right. We need like rock space simulator. I used to have a program on my old computer, and it was called something like NASA I think it was called. And it was like, how can I describe it? Google Earth, but with planets. And you could click on various planets in the solar system, whatever, and it'd give you statistics about them, like, you know, things like how long it would take you to get there. And there was pictures and various data on these various planets and stars and things. Heck, old Starlink. really good to save you guys when it comes to internet access. Satellite internet. I mean, this is just probably a really uneducated thought. However, there are places here, and like if I'm honest, because well, we've just had a conversation about distance between. Look at this gap I've missed up the middle here. You have to go back and do that, I think. But we've just had a conversation about distances and how far away like some things are from other places. But given that, at least where I live, not, distances between places aren't necessarily huge. However, I could be somewhere less than an hour out of a major city, can't get a phone signal. And I'm like, well, so how can NASA communicate with a spaceship that's, squillions of k's away, and I can't get a signal here, and I'm, an hour out of town. 5G phone speeds. Ooh. I'd have to check to see how the 5G network's going here. I don't think... Has the major carrier got 5G access yet? I don't know. We're so behind here on various things. I don't know. My phone's only 4G anyway, so I'm happy with the 4G at the Mojo. But there's a particular... it's interesting. There's one phone network which is far superior than the other two major ones, I suppose. One of them at least stepping things up and has been for a while now, which is good, so it's less of a bit of a monopoly. At least there's they're not awful if you want to go with this other carrier. But the third carrier that you could get, third major one, is a joke. Gone in 5 years. Well, the seed and the fertilizer have caught up. They're parallel. They're in unison, 14% each. So we're going to most definitely have to go and refill. I suspect we're not going to be able to finish seeding this field without that. Without a refill. Now, I don't know if I have any product that I've purchased already. You can be on a fishing boat in the middle of the ocean and get 250 down. Jeez. Maximum 75. Huh. Jeez, that'd be great. I don't get 250 down. What do I get down? 46. I tested it earlier. 36. Yeah, sorry. 46 down, and what was it up? About 19. It was like 18.9. So we'll round it up. Ping of 3. That's where I'm at. And I'm on fibre. I was watching something on YouTube a little while ago. Some guy lives on a boat, and they've got some huge, not huge, but they've got some satellite dish thing on their boat. And he's like, it gives us, internet, which is crazy wherever we go. Cool. It'd be good if you were... I know somebody who lives in New Zealand and they're off-grid. Their house is off-grid and they have satellite internet. It'd be good for if you lived in the country or somewhere and you can't get a hard wire. I know a friend of mine where his parents live, they can't get fibre. They're still on copper. So that'd be good to get good satellite there. Maybe I could put it on my house when I build. Do I think 5G's causing Nakosa? I mean, is it an electronic wave? I mean, can that cause a... How can that cause a respiratory virus? Exactly. Yeah. You got to say, actually, 55%. Like, the internet's been around for a long time, and only 55% has it. It's a bit of an average. Hit rate, could I say? I suppose a lot of people in a lot of the poorer African countries don't. Steve Jobs, what about him? Don't you soil his good name. Old Stevie boy. Blimey, we're going to run out of seed. I've only just noticed that. I think we should go and get some more. And it's annoying. Let's just turn that off. This is quite annoying. Because what's that? Maybe 2 more runs? Or be, 2 runs. And... anyway, whatever. We will go and get some more seed. Right, Steve Jobs caused COVID with 5. I will ban you from this chat. I mean, I won't, but I'd consider it. Kiss from a rose and... Yeah, now we have to drive on the wrong side, don't we? Now, I think I've mentioned this before, but towing this cedar, I think, is borderline illegal because of the width. I think I don't know what the max width is. Maybe it's 4 meters. But I would suspect in the real world, I mean, I suppose they do make the things in the game here as reasonably accurate. But I'd have thought this would probably be end tow, not towing it down the road like this, because this is borderline shifty, if you ask me. But you haven't, so that's my opinion on that. Right, so going to go down here to the shop, buy some more fertiliser. We'll get another pallet of seeds as well. And we will go back and do the last pretty much 2 runs of our field, and I think we might do a contract job. We'll see what we have. I think we'll just do a ploughing one or a cultivating job or something like that. Because if we do a seed job or a fertiliser job, we have to then buy the product as well, which is just, more cost. So anyway, we'll have a look at what our options are, but first of all, we'll get some more supplies here. I need to buy the seed and fertilizer refills for the farm. Vehicle options? No, we want to go over here to the shop. I've gone to the wrong place. What's your opinion on automation taking jobs away from those skilled workers in factories and farms with self-driving cars, etc.? Well, it comes down to, I think, the fact that companies need to make money. Whoops. And if they're publicly traded, they have shareholders as well, and they, have got to be paying dividends. So if they can invest money into a machine that's going to do the work. I mean, if you're a business person, you know what I've done? I've bought the wrong bloody fertilizer. Crud. Because I need to buy this. So, but anyway, it's not a loss. We can use that liquid fertilizer anyway because we have a sprayer, so that's not all bad, but that's annoying. Anyway, yeah. So I think. As for if you're computer IT or computer programmer, that's great because you can still go and maintain and program these robots and whatever else. But if you are a skilled person, I don't know. But then also there are things that a machine can't do that a person can do. I remember I don't know, there was a show, it's like Mega Factories or something. It used to be on Discovery Channel. And actually a friend of my brother's I bought some, this is like 15 years ago. I bought some videotapes and they taped some episodes of it for me because they had pay TV or cable. We don't. And one of the episodes was on John Deere combine harvesters at the combine factory. And they had robots there doing welding and doing bits and pieces. But they had people there, skilled labour, as you might say, checking the work and fixing mistakes and things that the robots can't, like the robots don't notice. Because if a robot's told to do, I mean, they're pretty stupid really. A robot or a computer, you have to tell it to do what you want it to. You can't just, I mean, it won't do it by itself. You have to, tell it, program it. It has to be told every time to do like what you want it to. But anyway, they had people there checking these welds, checking this work, and the machines were being painted by robots. But after they come out of the paint booth, there was people there going over them, painting bits the machines had missed and all that stuff. Well, I think, I mean, as little as 5. Honestly, I can't think of a farm around here that would have 5 people working on it. I know my brother works on a farm. There is him and one other person who are, quote, employed. Somewhere where he used to work before. I think it was just him. And like the boss. And the other place, I think again, it was pretty much just him, and they would get a third person in sometimes to do some, specialty jobs, if you will. Most dairy farms have... Yeah, well, dairy's a little bit different. And also that depends as well if what sort of facility they have, because you can get the machines that'll put the cups on the dairies, the cups on the cows automatically, or you have somebody who does it. Hey, Ping. Now, Ping, earlier I thought your voice was pretty smooth. It's pretty nice, pretty gentle. I wouldn't say The voice of a typical Californian, whatever sort of voice that is. I was like, are you actually Canadian? Or is that an insult? I mean, it probably is. But, So have you got another walk on the beach planned, Ping? Okay, right. I'll tell you, I am strangely invested in that. I don't actually live in California. Oh, where did... Okay, I don't know where... Where am I getting California from? I don't know. Maybe because California girls are undeniable. I don't know. They used to need people picking cotton, and now they have a machine doing it. Yes, that is true of a cotton. I'll just tell you, those cotton strippers, I think they're called, and the cotton harvesters are huge. They are massive. They are huge machines. And stupidly expensive. We're just going to unhook that, and we're going to park the tractor there. So now let's have a geezer at what jobs we can do. So we can do a ploughing job on field 20. What one's field 20? 27. That one. We could plough that if we wanted to with weeding, fertilizer, harvest job, field 10. Plough again, fertilizer, harvesting again. We want a job that's going to give us decent cashola, fertilizer, harvesting, fertilizer. Well, now look, we've just talked about cotton. Should we do this? Cotton harvest on field 7. Where's field 7? 10, 8, 9, 7. We could harvest this. California Sea. I mean, I'm sure you've probably said that before. There, Ping. Also, no plans as of now. Ooh. From the Chaz. What other options do we have? Harvesting. That one. What's this? Sugar beet. Field 5. Sugar beet harvest. Transport, no. I tried to do a transport job once before, but then I was like, oh, I need a front loader to do that. I don't know if I'm baling. No. I want to do a harvest job, I think, or maybe just a plough or cultivator job. I mean, no, we're only get $1,000 if we do that, but I got to do that. Harvest, field 10. Let's have a geezer, field 10. Let's do that. Yeah. So we need to borrow the items. We could use our harvester. We could use our gear, but it would take forever. Come on. Go. New Holland. Let me tell you. Actually, I think the New Holland harvests are pretty decent. Right, let's go. Now, I'm not sure what buttons for me flashes. That's, I don't know. Right, we're going to, what field are we going to? 10. Right, let's go. Ooh! We don't want to absolutely squash that car. Seattle is the most ridiculous city. Is that because Pete Carroll lives there? Football jokes. Oh, and also Frasier. I also, okay, I've been up, yeah, right, and now, whatever. rambling. I'm not having a good time driving this harvester to the field, am I? It's been a complete disaster. Pay attention to who would teach you how to farm. Sure. Occupy Wall Street. Yeah, Wall Street apparently actually had a wall. Had a wall like down its. Apparently, where it's got its name from. Is the truth to that? Don't know. So let's go up here. So we're going to go to field 10. Awesome. The New Holland harvester looks pretty delicious. That is a huge field. It's big. Okay, yeah, right. Interesting. It's when your mob ruled the place there, Sambo. Right, unfold this bad boy. No, I want to go forward. But I'm confusing myself because of how I'm looking at this here. Then we want to go back. So we can get the header on. And then we'll just go into the cab so we can get on this here. Ooh, hook her up. Unfold that. Down on, let's go. And we're going to disable the swath. There we go, that's good. Cool, so we're harvesting barley. Awesome. Cereal crops, gotta love them. Grain crops. We don't have a lot of this big broadacre grain around here. A lot of root, well, I'll say root crops. Yeah, root crops, onions, potatoes. I would say potatoes are probably the most popular crop grown. Onions, broccoli, your top three, I'd say. Hemp is a thing that's starting to be grown a little bit, but the harvesting of it is a little bit of an issue because nobody knows how to do it really, and the equipment and could I just say the expertise in general, not really that huge around. I had some broccoli for dinner. It was very nice. Well, it might have come from here. Actually, apparently, right, here's a thing. Apparently, my state, its biggest export, world export, is onions. Which I was like, okay. So, probably for dinner, it was, yeah. I mean, yeah, broccoli, I don't know, I could take it or leave it. I am partial to a spud, though, I will say that. Mashed or just boiled or even roasted. But if you have them boiled, cut them in half, put a bit of butter on there. Delicious. A little bit of salt if you want to. How many farms are there in Tasmania? What other food do they produce? As for how many farms, a number I couldn't say. Lots. Main crops, main things are, rough estimate. Let's see. Let's see. Well, let me just think of one road, for example. It's 1, it's 2, 3, 4, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And if we go down there, I'd be here for a while on that. But there's particular, I mean, like up north of the state, that's big sort of, quote, spud country, as you'd want to say. And a lot of big dairies up there as well. And then on the east coast, also the northeast sort of region, a lot of potatoes and things up around the small, and like root vegetables up around the small towns there. Down south, not really sure what happens down there in regards to farming. And then over in the west, that's sort of rainforesty, quite wet area. So I'm not really 100% sure if there's a lot of farming out there. So I could probably give you a bit more of it. What other foods do they produce? So broccoli, like as for crop, broccoli, onions, potatoes are probably the main three crops. And also some places will do seed for things like carrot seed, for example. I mean, is that a crop? Well, I suppose it is a crop. That's sort of a food crop, I suppose you could say. There is some grains grown, not a whole lot. I think it depends on what area. In sort of the middle of the state, that was pretty much used to be really dry land cropping, which means grain crops typically, but there's a lot more irrigation through there now. So a lot of farms, I mean, it would be unusual, I would say, to see a farm that doesn't have any sort of irrigation on it whatsoever. That would be quite unusual. If you get on Google Maps, for example, and have a look at the farming areas around where I live, you see a lot of irrigation circles, and it would be unusual for a farm actually to not really have any irrigation. And it's gotten to a point, I think, where you can't really afford not to have any irrigation. And also beef, cattle is a very big thing as well. And there's also a feedlot. There's a feedlot too. So, of course, if you farmer, you have your cattle, you grow them or rear them, whatever you want to say, to a particular average weight. And then somebody, say from one of the supermarkets, because the supermarkets have buyers, and they will come and say, right, we need, I don't know, a truckload. It's like a B double truck can take 90 cattle, I think. So they'll be like, well, we want 90 cattle at this average weight. So then they'll just take them, they go to the feedlot for a bit longer, but a lot of forward, like, contracts and things. But, cattle, beef, and also sheep. So also sheep and lambs for slaughter. It's a bad word, isn't it? For meat, I'll say that. And also wool as well. There's a lot of farms that just do like sheep for wool, but it's a really, I guess, I guess you want to diversify your sort of your income. But a lot of farms will either be, I would say most of them would grow some sort of crop. So, yeah, they'd have some sort of crop in. Poppies as well, actually, I should say. Poppies are another very popular crop. Not that that's a food crop, but poppies for morphine, various medicines as well. You don't see things like corn. That's not really a typical crop. If you do see corn, it's like, okay, interesting. But, most farms would have either cattle or sheep and grow some sort of crop as well. And the way that some of the crops work is, say, I don't know, Gold Potato Company, Gold Foods Incorporated, like, okay, this, we need 20,000 tons of potatoes for our yearly crop, for our yearly need, I suppose you could say. And then what then happens is, you're like, okay, Ping, we need this many potatoes. And they'll be like, okay. So Ping will go around the farms, or the farms will come to Ping, whatever. And they'll be like, we'll lease a paddock off you, lease some land off you, and grow our spuds. And we'll give you a flat rate for the ground. So you, as the farmer, don't have any outgoings, and if the crop fails, it's not your fault, or you're not going to be penalised financially for that. I feel like I've said a lot of words, but not necessarily made any sense with them. Oh yeah, farmer ping pong. A lot of corn grown here. Okay, yeah, right. I always think of like Iowa as a very big corn sort of district. I wonder how much it would cost to send a text to me. Probably $1 squillion. I think I get $5 or something like international on my deal. The future, I guess. Yeah, maybe. I remember it seemed like not that long ago that 1 cent texts were a very big popular thing, at least on my carrier. Like, it was 1 cent text. But now you get free texts to anybody on the same network as you. Actually, I think you might get free text messages, period. But back in the day when you had to buy, well, at least I'm not on, I'm on what is referred to as prepaid, which I guess it's sort of like a plan, but it's not, but it is. Sort of thing. Give you a number and I'll try it. It's 04000000. Verizon, but I think that is an American thing. Yeah, we don't have Verizon. But I think Vodafone might have some tie-in with Verizon. We have Vodafone here, but I'm not on Vodafone because Vodafone's awful. Pretty much the big three telcos here are Vodafone, if you're on the Big Island, which is a lot better. It's a very, very average where I live. I don't know anybody on Vodafone, actually. Optus, which at least where I live have gotten a lot better over the last 5 or so years with their coverage, and Telstra, which is the biggest telecom. And Telstra used to be, I'm pretty sure, government owned up until sort of early 90s. It used to be sort of like Telecom, I think they was sort of called, and then it was sold off. Like the Commonwealth Bank, that's now like that used to be a government bank or government owned sort of bank, I think, but it's not anymore. It's, traded, I suppose you could say. Last time I went to Asia, I had to swap SIM cards. Yeah, right, okay. Swap SIM cards. I mean, it probably works out cheaper to turn up there and get like buy a SIM from whatever country you're going to. Really. Be cheaper than getting like one of those travel sims, which costs like a squillion dollars. I don't think I did anything with my phone when I travelled. No, I don't think I got a different SIM or anything. I talked to a friend of mine and he was like, I mean, when you turn up in England or whatever, just go and get like a local SIM card. So I could have gone and got like a 3 or an Orange or an EE or something like that, but just didn't bother. I just used Facebook Messenger if I needed to talk to anybody back home. Really? Yeah, it's pretty easy to just tell you. Yeah. Used to be like, hey, I'm going to wherever. Okay, yeah, right. Be interesting to know what some of the partner networks here are. Well, like, Vodafone's a thing in Europe anyway, like that brand. So I suppose if you were on Vodafone itself, it wouldn't be an issue. I wonder if EE has any affiliate to like Optus because their brand colours are the same. But I think Optus is owned by Singapore Telco or Asia I think it's Singapore Telco. So there could be a bit of a tie in there. As for Telstra, I don't know. One thing I remember I did is obviously said to the bank that I'm travelling and I'm going to be travelling for so long. So if there was any unusual sort of overseas dodgy European transactions on my accounts, they wouldn't shut me down or block anything or be like, oh, this is dodgy. What's going on here? But text messaging, though, still, like, very popular. If you want to say compared to phone calls, as it were. However, that said, I was probably maybe 2 people I would text reasonably consistently. Everybody else is typically online on good old Facebook Messenger or even Dissy. But Dissy's more for the overseas folks, like the affable Mr. Ping. He's that affable, I had to say it twice and be like real. And put a bit of real, like, on it. Free Wi-Fi scares me. I know, but I feel like places are sort of like pressured into having it though. Put a VPN on and you'll be fine, yeah. Actually, I've got a Raspberry Pi, an old one. I think it's a Raspberry Pi 2. I've been looking. I should probably make that into a VPN server. I've been considering that. But I can't be bothered really. Got to run the kernel, run the kernel, but run Pi VPN and set all that up. I know it's too much work. Like, it's not really, I'm just lazy. Also, I don't have another Ethernet plug to hook it up in. I don't think. No, I don't. I've only got a 4-port. Do I? Or was it 3? No, it must be 4. No, actually, I've got a spare plug. Hold on, what's there? It would be, if it's 4, there's one in from the wall, one to the computer, one to the NAS. So I would have a spare one. Whoops, let's close that. We're almost done. Like, actually, this field. Actually, we're not. I'm getting far too excited. I'm like, oh, we're almost finished, but we're not even halfway. What are we on the percentage of this? We're 41% here on the job, though. And we've got to get ourselves $8,000 dues. 607. Actually, we're going to get a little bit less than that because we've had to borrow this gear. Don't they make a pie that's equivalent to a cheap McDonald's? I haven't had a McDonald's, I was about to say cherry pie. I haven't had a McDonald's apple pie for a long time. I remember they used to be really hot. It'd be like hot lava in like a crust. I mean, that would scald a small child. Or maybe even a big, ugly child. I'm going to have something for breakfast, maybe an egg sandwich. Ooh, an egg sandwich. Ooh, delicious. I mean, I'll still be here, harvesting this field, having a jolly old time of it. We've been going for about an hour, so we'll do this. We might finish this up and wrap her up. There is cake in the house, so I'm planning to have a cup of tea and some cake. And then you'd have to get a McFlurry or something to, soothe your scalded mouth. Don't leave. I mean, there is cake. Cake is calling me at some point. You just go and get your egg whatever. Your egg sanger. I'll tell you what, I have not been to McDonald's for quite a while. I remember once, like, a long time ago, that cake sounds great. It's 4:30 a.m. I mean, it's never an inappropriate time to have cake, I suppose. Does, do they like cake? Maybe you could get them one from Walgreens or whatever supermarket you have. Actually, no, bake them one. Bake a cake. If not for yourself, but for somebody you love. I'm delusional. I remember once, ages ago, cake on the beach. Yeah, you might get sand in it though. You don't want a sandy cake. Maybe you could go for a gentle stroll on the beach, back to the vehicle, and then get the cake out. It'd be like, guess what I've got? And it'd be like, I've got this. And it's a cake. With jam and, colourful jelly babies or something on top. Yeah, Mario cake. Mario Kart and cake. I mean, that's probably a perfect outing for you, I reckon, Ping. And, a second individual. But, I reckon, it was probably 15 years ago. I don't know, it was a long time ago. My brother, somebody he went to school with, this is sort of not long after he finished high school. He had a license. So, it was probably, 15 years ago. Somebody he knew from school worked at McDonald's, and we went there, and I got a McFlurry. I was like 12. And I must have. I mean, I think I got one for like M&M's or ordered one for M&M's, but because my brother's friend's like, oh yeah, and he gave me one with like everything on it. He's like, oh yeah, his name was Damien, and he's like, oh, it's a Damo special. I don't know why I'm laughing at that for, but obviously I'm mildly amused by it. But remember the McFloat? Do they even still have that? It was like a Coke with ice cream in it. With, pig fat, McDonald's soft serve on it, on top. That's what we would call a spider here. If you have like a soft drink, so like Coke, Fanta, lemonade, whatever, and you put well, what you would do is you put ice cream in your vessel first, and then you pour Coke, lemonade, Fanta, whatever over it, and fizz it up and goes, whoa, we call that a spider. When you say everything hit bear. I just had all the McFlurry options, which I can't even remember what you could get. M&M's, like I know that you could get M&M's. Oreo maybe, I can't even remember. It was a long time ago. Like Flake probably in there. Now, Ping, here's a question for you. Were you one of those annoying kids who were like, oh, I hate the McDonald's pickle. Take it out for me, Mum, when you have your Happy Meal? I used to deconstruct burgers, and I would have... and there was a particular way I would consume said burger. So I would have... I'm just trying to think how I would have it. But the pickle... I was the least picky child, I know. Yeah, right. I would have... When I would deconstruct my McDonald's, I would leave the pickle until last, and I would have the pickle because I was like, you leave the best till last, and obviously the pickle was the holy grail of the whole thing. But I would like deconstruct the burger, so I would have, I think, maybe the top bun first because it had nothing on it. You might put some chips in there, and like fold it over and have like a chip bun sandwich thing. And then I think maybe the bottom bun, because that had like the sauce and stuff on it. Or did the top bun have that? Anyway, whatever bun had nothing on it would come first. And then the bun that had the sauce and whatever on it, I think would have next. And then I would have the patty and then the pickle. So I would deconstruct the burger and have it in that fashion. Because why not? But I remember going to a kid's birthday. Going to a birthday when I was like in kindergarten. This is a long time ago. This is 20 years ago. We had Happy Meals and everybody was like, oh, I want the pickle out. And I think I was just like, it's a pickle, and then ate it. Geez, I'm old. Ah, my goodness. Why am I so old? I wish I wasn't so old. But oh well. I'm old and wise. I mean, am I wise? I probably am not. Anyway, we're getting through this harvest, which is good. Which is very good. It's got in there some buckaroonies, $8,000 or so. So that'll pay for the fertilizer and seed we bought, and a bit extra. So it'll take us to 65? Is that proper maths? Or so about 65 grand. So, but it's. I feel like our capital's. It's been hovering around the 50, 60,000 mark forever. But I think if we just do some more jobs, contract jobs here, then we can get some more dollary doolittles. Because I want to buy some more fields, because we've only got 67%. We're making progress. Because, of course, we've only got field 27. So field 20, 19, 18 are like the next 3 to buy. So if we look at this, that's 180, 174 for that. That's 180, and that includes the farmyard as well. So maybe we could buy this field actually next, because it is, as land volume goes, it is actually it's got the most. I mean, that is the biggest field out of 18, 19, 20. 18 is the biggest field. How much is that? 107 grand. We could buy that. Nah, we may go for that next, actually. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We need at least 170 something thousand. So we need another 120 ish grand if we want to buy some more land. So this is a slog, absolute slog fest. Come on, harvester, go! What a dunger. I find it interesting that the New Holland harvesters are yellow, right? Whereas the New Holland tractors are blue. I don't know. I don't get that. It's interesting. But it's, John Deere, of course, all their products are green and yellow. And if you get a Case or a Massey Ferguson, if they're red, Case are a bit more, they're more of a dark red maroony colour with the grey wheels, and then Massey Ferguson are like more fire truck red with the grey wheels. But their harvesters are the same colours, so it's a little bit interesting, I suppose. The New Holland harvesters are yellow, whereas their tractors are blue. But John Deere is terrible. Oh, hot take. Got a lot. Yeah, I know. I mean, it is it's completely unnecessary to be consuming any type of. The concept of getting a burger or a sandwich and then deconstructing it to eat it isn't that efficient, if we think about it. Imagine if you made a sandwich, right, yourself, but you deconstructed it to eat it. Why would you not just make a salad? I suppose it depends what you've got in it, but you can have an open sandwich where it's like a piece of bread with stuff on top, and you don't have a lid on it. Wow, now I want McDonald's. Maybe I should make a trip down. Get something. Give us everything. I haven't had a Big Mac for ages either. Actually, I just haven't had McDonald's in general for a long time. I think the last fast food I had was it even this year? Crud. I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't think I've had fast food this year. And I had, Burger King, but we call it Hungry Jack's here for reasons. I should try McVeg. If you're going to buy me one, Sam, I'll have a McVeg. A lot of rice with my meals. I would usually eat rice first, because whatever I was eating it with was way better. The McVeg is bad, so why would you be like, oh yeah, have this bad burger? Wow. Actually, I was going to go up that right-hand side of the crop, but because the harvester is at 73%, if I was to then come back down on this left-hand side, this far left, and we had to do an unload, we would probably be, oh, well, I was going to say we'd probably be driving in the crop, but given that this is actually, that back down, it's not even going to be the width of the head, but anyway, whatever. I've made my decision. The McVeg is bad. Oof. No, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something scandalous. Then? Say it. No. But just imagine McV A G you know. Yep. Oh, I'm a terrible person. Why do I exist? Why does, what's his name? God. Allow me to exist. I don't know sometimes. Anyway, cool. Look at this. We're nearly done. I just got to go back down here. She's all cooked. Oh, she's all cooked. Yeah, well, it's all done, boys. Yeah. Of course you were. You've got it on your mind. Because Mario Kart. Not because of Mario Kart, but, I mean, I'm sure you don't particularly have that on your mind, but you have that on your mind because of Mario Kart. Hopefully we can fill up this. Actually, I reckon we're probably going to have to go and dump this trailer. Which will be annoying. I wonder if we dump this. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Baby, I've got you on my mind. Honey, you will never know. Should I buy Farming Sim? Well, I don't know. I'm not you. So, it doesn't come on sale that often, like compared to, say, would I enjoy it? No. I don't know if you would, if I'm honest. Let's go and empty this trailer where we have to go to the station mill. So let's go for a little drive. Where are we even going? Gonna go down there, and that'll take us back to the yard. And we can go up around there. Cool. So we want to go left out of here. Yeah, try it first. I mean, I don't want you coming here and trying my version of the game. Yeah. I mean, that could be... That is an option, but, do I want you touching my computer? I don't know. Cooties. I remember they used to, at least with the older versions of Farming Simulator, I think. I first sort of discovered it at Farming Simulator 2009, I think. And I remember they did used to actually have a demo. And you could download the demo, and I think you could do... because I have weeds there on that field, I'll have to spray them. Because you could... because on the earlier versions of the game, you would have access to all the fields. It's only the last, I think maybe Farming Sim 2015, I think, is the first game where you could buy extra fields. I think all the previous versions, you had access to the whole map straight away. You would start off, of course, with the more, lower end gear, but you didn't have to buy any fields. But anyway, I think in Farming Simulator 2009, like demo version, I think you had the basic gear and one field, something like that, if I remember correctly. I could be completely wrong, but yes, they you did used to have demos of the game. Remember then that was a thing, demos. How do we even get to, okay, I have to go up here and then around, I suppose. Whoops. I'm actually thinking about buying Grid, because that's on, I think it's 70% off currently on Steam, and adding that into the rotation of games. And I've got a contender for another game I can add into the rotation as well. So I should, just something I've had on my Steam for a while, and I re-downloaded it the other day, and I was like, oh, there's like tutorials here on how you can do the game, and I was like, I'm not going to do them, I'll keep them for the stream, but I might get Grid. It's been on my wish list for a while, so that could be something to add in to the game. Oh, it's a driveway, and didn't notice that. Right, we're going to unload this stop truck, this barley. Yeah. Let's make sure we cancel your sub. Yes. Right, we'll get up here and finish harvesting this field, and then we'll check out the weed situation in our field, and then, I don't know, cake time, I think, then. Wow, the turning circle on this truck is solidly average. Look at that, that's full lock, and we're out in the weeds. And even the rear axle there in the trailer's turning on the crampy. I know why we're going to be able to do a hard turn around here. Anyway, we'll try it. There's old mate there, and he's, I don't know, Ford Explorer or something from like 2000 and, I don't know, 8. Up the curb. Whatever. I'm sure Nick would have got round there easy, Sam, hey? The cake is alive. The cake is real. The cake exists. Your egg, whatever, is a lie. Was a lie. I reckon you just had to go to the loo and you're like, I'll play it cool and say I'm going to get some breakfast. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I am delusional. Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft. Ever. I've never played it. And, scandalously, I have zero interest in ever playing it. How do you feel about that? Also, Minecraft's owned by Microsoft these days, isn't it? They buy it like a couple of years back. Yep, really. No lust for craft. Baby, I've got you on my mind. Honey, you would never know. There you go, Ping, some singing for you. The sweetest developers. Oh, the sweetest thing. Never played Halo or COD. I mean, I've played both of them, so does that mean I'm cool? Whoopsie. Harvester, turn on. Jeez. Swedish. We are from Sweden, yeah. Oh, I don't even know what that is. How close are we to finishing this contract? Oh, we've done it. Right, well, we'll collect our dollary doolittles for that. I do sing, yeah. Only a few words. Oh. Now, weeds. Let's have a look at weeds. So this bottom half of our field's got some issues. Staying up all night was worth it. Oh, cobber. Let's get our sprayer on and go and run over the weeds. Now, I've downloaded a tractor mod. I've got it installed, so I think we're going to have let's have a brief discussion about it, because I think it could be an option for us. Now, this here, the 40 series John Deere. So we've got the 40 series, we've got the two-wheel drive, we've got the four-wheel drive option, and then we have the L two-wheel drive and the L in four-wheel drive. So these, of course, are the same tractor. The only difference is the two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive option. And these two are the next model up. So we'll just have a look at this one, for example. So this is a, what is it? This is a 4040, right? 112 horse. We've got the 4240, which gives us 124. And then 4440, which is about 146 horse. Right. And then if we go to the L, so this starts at 4640, which is 174 horse. And then 4840, which is 203. So I think here are my thoughts, because this is, I mean, it's 70,000. It's 200 horsepower machine. So I think this with like rear jewels could be something for us to look at getting when we need a bit more grunt. I got to say, honestly, I don't mind the look of that with two-wheel drive with the rear jewels. I think it looks pretty cool. Stocks wide. Rear twins. Now these have got the clip-on jewels. We've got the crop tyres. We can have the crop with the rear jewels. This could be an option for us as well. And we've got tyres. They've got the rear wheel weights. And then we've got the wide tyres with the weights. And just the stock wheel setup. So the standard US, this is interesting because it's got the rack and pinion there ready to put the jewels on it. But anyway, yeah. So this, I think when we need a bit more grunt, this could very much be an option for us. And then what we can also actually spec all these tractors if we want to have. I'm not interested in that. We can have, if we want, front 3-point linkage. Okay, so we're going to have a front hitch on the tractor. So that allows us some options when we get to seeding equipment. Because if we get, I wanted to get, for example, the coon set up here. But I couldn't get it because the Fiat doesn't have front hitch. And we need a front 3-point so we can have seed bin. So if we get, say, the 4640 or something, that we can get something like this. We could probably get this. What's that? 270. It's too much. 150. We could get that if we wanted to. It's 12 meters. That'd be cool behind the 46. Probably get to 4840. It's 200 horse. We only need 150 to tow this. I mean, theoretically, we could tow this behind the tractor we've got now, which in the real world I wouldn't do. However, it only takes seed. Whereas at least this takes seed and fertilizer. That only takes seed. So, see, this is what we've got to star. It takes seed and fertilizer. So, yeah. Because it's good that we can seed and do fertilizer at the same time. I wish I could say I knew anything about tractors. I mean, do you need to know anything about tractors? I mean, just come and watch this and I'll try and tell you something about tractors. Okay, I've got a hot take. A hot take and a half. I would suspect that most people who play Farming Simulator don't really know anything about farming. So I'm just here making scandalous allegations. See, we could do this and use our own... Yeah, that's me. Well, I mean, we could do this, I suppose, or even this job, and we could use our own sprayer if we wanted to. 17. But we would have to use our own gear. I'm just looking to see if there's any other quick little contract jobs we can maybe do. Fertilizer. I mean, like, I don't know. Field 11, sowing. Field 32, plough. We could do a quick plough job because I want to talk about ploughs for some reason. That's $1,128. There was another ploughing job here. This one, $1,598. Let's do this ploughing job, field 32, which is this one. Shouldn't take us long. We can do that. We will borrow that stuff. So we'll leave our tractor there, ready. Right, we're here. What have we got? The Voltra. Pretty sure they're Polish, I think, the Voltra tractors. Or originate from Poland. There's a couple around here. We're in the farming area, like around where I live. Not, I think, probably New Holland. I mean, John Deere, easily the most popular tractor. And probably then, I would say, Case. Let's fold the plough, which basically just straightens it out. The only farming I've done was when I was 10 and played Farmville. So, let me tell you about Farmville. When I first got on Facebook a while ago, 10 years ago maybe? I don't know how. I think I've been on Facebook for about 10 years. Where am I even driving? We're going to 32. I think we can go up here. There's a road we can go through. We'll figure it out. Yes. I started playing Farmville when I got on Facebook ages ago, and I actually still play it. So my usage of Facebook these days is log in, harvest the crop, put a new one in, log off Facebook. Check notifications, log off Facebook. That's it. That is my usage of Facebook these days. And when I got on my new computer here, I moved over from I moved to Firefox, and there was some, because you have to have Adobe, what do they call it? The Java, whatever it's called, JavaScript. And you need that for Farmville, and it wasn't working. I couldn't get it to work on Firefox. So I was like, I'll give up on Farmville. But the last month or whatever, must have been a bit of an update to Firefox. I don't know. Anyway, it's working now, so I'm back to playing Farmville. Anyway, so here we are. Field 32. This is the one we've got to plough. So So let's talk about ploughing. Or do you not want me to talk about ploughing? This is going to take a while. I'm going to unfold this, and I want to... Actually, no, I won't. I'll just turn around. So this plough is a good plough. So let's do this. We'll line up here. Drop, go. Cool. Ploughing Mario Kart. If you say so. So this is it's a moldboard plough or a one-way plough. Depends how you want to word it. But what we're going to do, so how this works is that the way the boards are molded, it turns the soil over. So what would have just happened is because of how the bottom boards here are, they're like how they're like this. So what would have happened is this soil would have been flipped over. So this that's on top would now be underneath this. So we've basically just turned this over. So in the real world, what would be here there would be what's called a furrow. So it's basically like a ditch. Okay. So what we would do now is, because we are going to turn the plough over, because if we didn't turn the plough and we just came back down here, then what would happen is the soil would be then turned that way, and it would be like a bit of a ditch thing in the middle. We don't want that. So now, because we've turned the plough, so now when we go back down there, the soil's going to be turned back over onto this, and would fill in that imaginary ditch that's there, or furrow. And what we would do is, as we're driving back down it, we would drive in this furrow. We would drive in this ditch, and that would make the soil from the first furrow, sort of the first moldboard, that would be flipped over into the furrow, or into the ditch we've just created. So if you had a one-way plough, so basically this has got the boards on the top and on the bottom, but if you had a plough that just had the boards on the bottom, what you would do is you would drive up maybe to the middle of the field, and you would then drive back down, and you would do what we did when we were seeding, and that would allow you to not to the objective is to only have one area where the two, like where the furrows don't sort of flip over on top of each other, if that makes any sense. So like how you know, if I didn't turn the plough, the soil would be going that, like, to flipping over to the left. So if you have a one-way plough, you don't just go up and down. You have to plough a little bit differently, so the field isn't as rough as well, and ploughing like this is something that's tricky. You can't just get on and go, because you have to, at least the older ploughs are a bit more traditional. This plough would be pretty flash and be all sort of hydraulically adjusted and whatever, but you have to be careful that you're not ploughing necessarily too deep, because the furrows could be too the furrows could be too deep, and you can just really make a paddock an absolute mess. And you want to be going, of course, at a decent speed so that soil is turned over properly as well. If you're ploughing like how we are here, the traditional sort of one-way plough, as it were, and you can, and like what you would, I mean, usually you would probably at least hear this type of ploughing isn't really done a whole lot. People would use what's referred to as a disc plough, so it has discs on it, and they're in like a cross sort of. They would use no back. I think it's in cultivators. No, there's one here somewhere. Disc tiller. Use like something like this. So what happens is if you were to unfold this, these discs here would go into a V shape, and you would plough like that rather than something more traditional. But here, see, this plough here is a one-way plough. So it's only got the boards on the bottom, so it's a one-way plough. It's not reversible. So what would happen in this instance, like if we were using this, like if we go, of course, if we, go down this way, of course, the soil is going to be turned to the right. But if we would turn around and come straight back, the soil, of course, is going to be turned the opposite way. So there would be like the ditch in the middle. So if you're using a one-way plough, you have to, you can't just turn around and come back. You have to make, excuse me, what's called a land, where you go sort of up the field a bit and then come back and then loop around a little bit, so you don't get, ditches and furrows and all that sort of stuff everywhere. You want to keep that to a minimum, and creating mounds and that sort of stuff. And that just makes it easier later on for if you want to, or for cultivating as well. But typically, at least, this sort of ploughing really, you would plough a field using a plough like this. If it hasn't been worked for a while or a long time, you'd probably plough it like this and then maybe leave it for a month or so to let it settle a bit, and then you would run over it with a disc or a cultivator or something, and then do whatever, put a crop in. So, love the educational content. That's typically, at least here, how a plough like this would be used. I think that it's a lot more popular in Europe to run a plough like this a lot more, often traditionally. And I also have, ploughing competitions exist where they use ploughs like this, and you were judged on how well, the soil's turned and that sort of stuff. And I think I had a rule book. I'm sure I downloaded like a rule book or something on ploughing. I'm sure it's on the computer somewhere, because there was a ploughing competition or like ploughing championships here a couple of years ago. And actually me and my brother were like, we should go to this. We never did. But I downloaded like a rule book, or like a sort of a handbook on how, people are judged, what the rules are, because, you can't just turn up with any track. Like, you can't turn up with a plough like this. You have to have a one-way plough, and that sort of stuff. Because it's, using the older gear, the more basic stuff, of course, tests your knowledge on how, you know how to plough. I mean, this setup is a lot more automatic and stuff, whereas older ploughs take a little bit more work to use and that sort of stuff. So that's ploughing for you. But it is the width on this isn't that big. I mean, really, this is probably doing the width of the tractor and not much more, really. Look who's ploughing. I know. It's a fun time. So, but, so that's ploughing. What else have we talked about? We've talked about harvesting. I mean, we've talked about the New Holland. I don't know why the New Holland harvesters are yellow and the tractors are blue, but whatever. Interesting though with the Vulture tractors, right? You can actually they have colours for you to choose from. Whereas if you, I mean, like if you buy a car, there's like set colours you can be like, oh, yeah, I want this colour. But it's not really the case with tractors. Really agricultural equipment. If you go buy a John Deere, it's green and yellow. If you go and buy a Case, it's red and with the grey wheels. If you go and buy a Fendt, it's green and you've got red wheels on it. But if you go and get a Vulture, you can have blue, you can have, I think, a red, you can have white and black, I think, of the colour options. And which is, I think it's interesting that they allow you to do that. Whereas this is obviously blue. I think green also may be an option. I have not seen a green one actually, but I think green may be an option, like a green sort of to the green on the plough here. So yeah. So we're gonna get in that. Oh yeah. Geez, we've got a ways to go. I feel like we've been doing this for ages and we've done like that much. Now we're at 29%, so I think we'll plough this and I might wrap it up, get some cake, and have a Yorkshire tea. Because I'm worth it. Like L'Oreal Paris. Because you're worth it. Farming is hard work. I know, yeah. I mean, it's time for Smoko. Where's Mrs. Luke, who's ploughing, to come in the ute with the thermos and whatever? Need to get some caffeine in my system after this. I mean, you could go to bed. That is an option, I suppose. Unless you just want to be a loose unit and stay up forever. They kiss from a rose and grey. I actually went and paid a little bit more. I've got a drone. Well, I don't have it yet, but I'm like paying one off. New Mavic 2, Mavic Air 2, and I was talking to. I mean, yes, you could go to bed. Brackets. Is it closed bracket? Could open? No, it's open bracket. Could close bracket. Whatever. But I was talking to the lady at the camera shop when I went in there yesterday. No. Yes, I don't know. Whenever it was. When did I go in there? Yesterday. Yes. Went into the camera shop yesterday. Paid a little bit more off my drone, and I was talking to the lady there, but I was talking to my brother, and I was told him I was getting one, and he's like, oh yeah, we should make, because it's got the active track on it. And he's like, oh, we should put it on the dog and see if it'll follow the dog while the dog's herding some sheep. And I was like, yes. So I said to the lady at the camera shop about that yesterday, and she was like, do it. I was actually watching a Mavic Air 2 review before coming here. It is very, very nice. Yes, I've been thinking about getting a drone since I think Phantom 3 came out, which was, at least 5 years ago. And, I'm a great procrastinator, so I was like, I should just get this. So I got the Fly More kit. 8K cameras and 8K cameras. I honestly haven't even really adopted 4K, if I'm honest. I don't know, it'll happen at some point, but was something I found actually interesting. Borderline amusing, I would say, is I was listening to a movie podcast and they were talking, going to get an 8K TV this year. Gee, money bags. I was listening to a movie podcast, and they watched a movie. It was I think it might have been Sunset Boulevard. It was an old, I guess, from the early 60s, I think. Anyway, they were saying because it was filmed on 70mm film, it's had a nice 4K. Only $2,500. Jeez. I'll probably jump. Yeah, going to go over 4K. I mean, $2,500 on a telly. Sure. What's that in kangaroo dollars? It would be, I would guess, maybe about 4,000. I think the dollar's about 60 cents. So I would guess that would be $2,500 US would probably be about 3.5, 4 grand maybe kangaroo dollars. Yeah, 3. That's sure. So why not take the jump over 4? I mean, yeah. If you can justify the purchase to yourself, whatever, do it. But yeah, so I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about, Sunset Boulevard or whatever, and like just generally old films shot on film on 70mm, because the resolution of the film. I mean, they can get. I think they were like, they can't do like a 4K restoration of something shot on 1080 because that's as good as it's going to be. Like the films of the earlier movies or first movies shot on digital are what they are, whereas a lot of old movies that were shot on proper camera film can be restored to 4K because they have the option because of the resolution of how much pixels, like the resolution of whatever you get with film stock, which I was like, that's hilarious, almost, that whatever Star Wars movie shot on digital can't be restored to 4K because it just can't be. Have I just bogged the tractor? No, I haven't. So I like to have a TV for 10 plus years. Yeah, I think, how old's my TV? I think it's like 12 years old, my television. I think I got it in about 2008. It's the same. I bought the TV, and then I think the next day I bought a PlayStation 3. And I think that was like 2008. So I got a Samsung 32-inch one, so it's doing well. And I'd just be like, I'll just have it until she doesn't turn on anymore. And then I'll probably go and maybe get another Samsung. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with the Samsung. So, I mean, stick with it. I don't know. Could do. Let's see what else is around. But I don't need a new TV yet. But that said, when I get a new telly, I'll probably get a 4K one or something. Because I guess for like 4K, great demand at the grain mill. For what? We don't even have any storage, so we can't sell any crops. But I don't know what I was going to say. Something about televisions. They have. I was going to fix the digital. Yeah. Suppose, but. I say kiss from a rose, 'cause I'm Seal. Let's do a little bit of reversey action here. And we'll drop that and go Mojo. So we're at over 50%, 54, which is good. I mean, we don't really have to plough the whole field. I mean, we might be like, you finished the job whilst we're on the last run. It's probably going to happen, so we'll just keep going though. It's a small fix. Yeah, I mean, with megapixels like that, if you stretch it too much, it just looks dumb. With resolution, that sort of stuff. But I reckon it's H.264 codec. Anyway, put it in handbrake. Oh, that compresses, but you know, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm crazy. Which also comes out way too smooth because of the lack of the raw data. Yeah. It's like the cab in the Viltra. Looks. It's got command arm. Looks good. But I'm partial to a Viltra, if I'm honest. I've seen a 4K and 8K TV side by side and honestly couldn't barely notice the difference. Smearing returns, it's hard. You're probably going to need glasses, mate. Plot twist, he's got them. But I mean it. But you know, is it a thing like with 3D TVs? You know, they were hot briefly, but they didn't catch on because nothing was being majorly produced for them. I mean, like you couldn't really watch television in 3D because it wasn't broadcast in 3D. So unless I would, you know, if you're somebody, I guess, who watches television, I mean, if nothing's being broadcast in 4K resolution, you would say, what's the point of having a 4K TV? Or, I mean, you know, you would have to be watching stuff, content or whatever, in 4K to be able to, like, really get a good whatever. But 4K is not 4K anyway. I think it's like 3.8 or something. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Resolution never at 10 is usually here to stay. Granted, it's 50-inch. It's a bigger difference in the... Yeah. It's not like curved television. Ha! Yeah, remember curved TVs? Classic. Oh, let's get a curved television. Imagine one of them mounted on a wall. That looks stupid. I missed curved TVs. Probably the only one. Yeah, they do have curved monitors, yeah. I'd imagine that'd be something good for, like if you're playing a driving game. Like, imagine 3 monitors on a cockpit for playing, like, I don't know, iRacing, if you're into that. Excuse me. After you get to 8K, I can picture the push for higher frame rates becoming down. But just like raw data as well in the high resolutions is a thing. It's sort of like, can I say, you know, if you have, you need the infrastructure to be able to support the idea. No, the concept. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. High bit rate 1080 still looks just as good as 4K YouTube or Netflix, but that's my opinion. Possibly hot take. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, when I was at school, film school, having said that, this is a while ago now, 4K was sort of a thing, not really as accessible as it is now, but if somebody was like, oh, I have a 4K camera, we would never film anything in 4K ever because of the data. It's just, we're like, the files and things are too big. We couldn't justify it simply because of the raw space required for it and the grunt we would need to be able to get that stuff into our editors and work on it. So we were like, I mean, 4K is just a nice idea, but for us now at this point, we're not really interested in exploring it. So anyway, let's flip. We are getting close. 72%. Awesome. This chair, I mean, talking about 4K, I mean, I need a 4K chair. This one I've got is absolute garbage. Especially if I'm going to be here for, 2 hours ploughing. Now, I don't know Wednesday, what's the game? American Truck, usually. I don't know if I should slip in this alternate game I've got or wait until I pull my finger out and get... I'll probably buy Grid. I think it's like $20 or something on Steam at the moment. And get that, and then I can launch the 2 new games in a rotation. I could probably do that this week anyway. Get it downloading and whatever else. I think it said it needs like 100 gigabytes. I'm like, what? Why do you need that much room? That's like, you got the hard drive. I'm going to have to get a bigger hard drive for this computer. Or at least a bigger, whatchamacallit, drive for the OS. Yeah, we'll get because of 16 textures again. Yes, well, you can get a micro SD cards of 1 terabyte on them. So, but I mean, what cameras will support that? It's probably a stupid thing to say, but what cameras, what gear? I mean, obviously something does, because they wouldn't be like, SanDisk wouldn't be like, hey, let's make a 1 terabyte micro SD card, even though there's no gear that actually takes that much or can handle that much. 70% 4K recorded on a phone is the same as 4K from a proper camera. One is going to look a lot sharper and detailed than the other. Yeah. Yeah, 8640 processor, which would be fine. Actually, speaking of cameras and whatever, I remember a friend of mine got the original Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and they put, I think you needed I'm not up with what camera, or like with what SD cards are currently, but they was like class 10 was the highest speed or whatever back in the day, and a friend of mine, he put in whatever card, wasn't like the Blackmagic needed a class 10, and let's just say he put in like a class 5, okay, and the camera was like, I don't have a card in me, put one in. I mean, we had that conversation once. He was like, oh yeah, I'll put a card in the camera, and it didn't read it because it wasn't, the read-write speed on the card wasn't minimum, or wasn't fast enough for the camera. What are we at? 82. We're getting there. We're nearly done. Slowly. Now, it's interesting. I feel like we've gotten to this point of the field like reasonably quickly, whereas before, I feel like we'd been ploughing for ages and we'd done what like we've got left. Maybe the ploughing conversation was just, boring me. The batteries on those Blackmagic cameras, yeah, they are solidly average. I know somebody who had, they had heaps. They had like half a dozen of them. But they were not good. They were not great at all, especially if you were doing it's 20 to 30 minutes on yeah. Not great at all, especially if you're out like doing a quote proper shoot or whatever. I mean, you'd have to have either a heap of spare batteries or a heap of power banks with you, just so you could get anything done. Especially if you're like doing a couple of takes, you do one and you at least do another one. I think minimum 2 takes, because we would typically we'd do one, we'd be happy with it, but then we'd be like, let's do another one for safety. On a shoot for max, we had to charge like a dozen of the small ones. 2 big old chunkies. I would still struggle. I suppose those big ones are probably like the big Sony ones. I have a picture too. My friend has a S20 and some of the pictures look better than his. Yes, probably. Good old Max. I remember that. Where I was an apathetic postman. Was that? No, that was something else. Yes it was. That was Ian, wasn't it? Max was, other things. But yeah, no, it's, yes, I know it wasn't. I was like, oh yeah, that thing. And I was like, no, it's actually not it. But, yeah. Classic. I was an apathetic sound guy on Max. Living the boom life. I think I maxed it out once. I think we had an outdoor shot at where that mutual friend of ours used to live, and I think I had the boom as long as it could go. For some reason. But wasn't I supposed to be like co-producer? I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember. Speaking of camera, can't wait to use the overkill webcam. Overkill. Oh God, the Google Pixel and how to use that to improve shots. I mean, I think it's probably just making people think that they're better camera operators than what they are. I mean, I'll just take a picture and leave it. I mean, I'm not somebody who takes pictures. I mean, my camera's old. I've got a Canon 600D, which I think's like a T3i. I think that's what they're called in the United States. I mean, so it's an old camera. But I would take pictures and just leave them. I'm not necessarily a big fan of people who, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm not a big fan of people who do this, but I'm not somebody who does this myself, because I'm not really a fan of it, and that is editing pictures after the fact, making them look better than what the camera's done. It's like the camera's taken this picture of me operating it, that's what it is. It's not like, this picture's a bit blown, let's get into Photoshop and fix that. No. Scandalous. Yeah, welcome to Instagram. I mean, every picture I've got on Instagram is how it's been taken off of my phone or the camera. So, I mean, I'm not taking pictures for magazines. I'm taking pictures for myself, which is something I need to do more often. I haven't been out with the camera for a while. I need to take more pictures and do more video stuff as well. And it's like, I mean, yeah, color grading on video, doing a little bit of work on that, I can get on board with. But that said, I'm just trying to think, every sort of video or film I've edited, which isn't a lot, and given I haven't done any video work for quite a while, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think I've ever color graded, ever. And like, I don't do stuff for clients. Or I'm not, if somebody was like, I'm paying you to do this, it's a different story. But as for myself, and if I've been talking about and thinking about doing a vlog for ages and starting to get into that. I mean, and if I ever do that, which hopefully I will, that video will be good. That's done. As it is. I mean, I'm not going to really change it, I don't think. If it's too blown, I'll be like, geez, that's overblown, and move on. Right, let's quickly spray this. It won't take us long, and then I'm going to have some cake. Hopefully we can get through this field. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, that might be me. I always shoot in RAW and fix it in Lightroom. And if you... I'd like to see some drone shots. Yes, I'm excited to get mine. I think just like being able to, say, get on the bicycle or in the car or something and then have it do the track. And or if you're like on the tractor or whatever, do the follow me. I think it's just be really cool. But once again, that's like, I mean, the drone's doing the work. You're just like, follow me. And it goes, okay. So that's laziness, but at its core, really. But I wouldn't really say I'm a huge camera guy. I mean, when I did film stuff, I was mainly... I don't actually think I can't even remember if I actually filmed. Did any shooting work? Not really. Made a documentary. I did all the work on that. Editing. Did plenty of that. Producer, really, I suppose you could say. I was a props guy. Did sound. Not a lot of camera stuff, though. So... maybe if I did more camera stuff, I could give you a more educated answer to your questions. Instead of just bozo ones. Or hot takes that are probably... yeah. Ridiculous takes. Hopefully we can get this field done and not have to fill up this tank. If we have to, I'll be Burko. But because we bought that extra fertilizer, I think we can take advantage of that for sure. Hurry up and write a script. Well, I wrote a decent one a while ago, but my final draft is corrupted, so I don't know. I don't know what it is. It was called Lego of Love, because it was like about the time when the Lego movie came out, and it was pretty popular. It basically constituted of somebody going and buying some Lego, lying to somebody, and then somehow them building the Lego together. It's pretty much what it's called. And I think the guy's name, it was like a love story thing, and the guy's name, I think his name was Emmett, because that's what his name was in the Lego movie. But I've got plenty of script ideas. It's just figuring out how to make them work. Like, I'd like to write like a Poirot sort of mystery murder thing, but it's just sort of like, Okay, somebody's been killed. This person's the killer. How do we make that work? Like, how do I write those clues and things? I mean, do I reverse engineer it and think of, well, this is how they were caught? How can we get to that point? I'm not sure. You could have had my help, but you got a very possessive for script and radio. I mean, you just hijacked it and you were like, yes, our idea. And like, easy. I mean, you had your own about that guy who was like accidentally progressive. So, but I'd just write stuff and not do anything with it, really. And also I was like, I could write a sitcom. But anyway, whatever. We've missed some of these weeds, but that's okay. Whoa. I mean, if we got picked up by Netflix, you'd be wanting do an organic farm. Not if I have weeds on, though. The thing is, if you was to play this game organic, yields on fields would be not great because you get increased yield with using fertilizer, and you get weeds which decrease yield again. So you probably wouldn't be getting that great crop. I mean, in fertilizer, you could probably, and at least lime anyway, you could argue is organic anyway because it's lime, it's stone, it's limestone. So you could use that, I suppose, because you could say, well, limestone is an organic substance. And fertilizer, I mean, a lot of fertilizer is actually made from chicken manure. It's like if you get superphosphate, like if you get super, sort of thing. That would be cool. I mean, you wouldn't want to harvest a field with a lot of weeds in it in the real world because that would cause a lot of problems with your equipment. Getting, weeds and that sort of stuff in your going through your your harvester wouldn't be great. Awesome. Well, we've sprayed that, which is superb. So let's take the tractor back to the yard, which we don't own. Ducks Twitter weeds for you. And probably the seed as well. We've missed that a little bit, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry too much about that. So we have 13% spray left in this. I'm not... I mean, the viability, I think, maybe of doing major broadacre farming, quote, organically, could be tough. Simply because of, especially if like grain crops, for example, because grain prices are typically solidly average, you need to be getting, in my opinion, a huge yields, or at least have a lot of crop in to be able to justify or to be able to make any, decent capital. But make some eggs and toast. I mean, yeah, right. I mean, it's tricky to run equipment on rice paddies because they're flooded, sort of thing. Anyway, cool. You know what? That's it. We've got the the bank up to 70 grand. We've sprayed our field. We've ploughed somebody else's. We've harvested another one. And we've also seeded our field as well. So hopefully next time we can get some growth. Maybe put some fertiliser on. Maybe do a couple more contract jobs around town. And all that jazz. So look at our clapped out old combine. What a dunger. But the Fiatso, look at her. She keeps doing the work for us to 1300 DT. Very posh with that chook shed cab on it. Yeah, anyway. I hope you've enjoyed it, everybody. It is late. And yeah, anyway, I'll catch you next time.